So I left my old life behind at 30, which was in the UK, self-employed, homeowner, comfortable, and I'm going to talk you through the numbers for my last year and a half-ish worth of travel plans. I just wanted to be transparent about what it cost me and give people an idea of the sort of price ranges you can be looking at for a year's worth of travelling. I'm going to share with you the numbers as best as I can remember, my decisions for why, and what I would consider doing differently next time. Now, obviously everyone's got their different views on how and where you would spend money, and that is why you do what you wish with your money. So I did what I wish with my money. I'm open to sharing that with you in case there are people watching curious to how much it costs or the scale of what sort of money you need to visit the places that I've been to and for the durations, and whether you want to do a tight budget, medium budget or no budget. I was more towards the no budget side. But that's what I'm going to get into today and share it all with you. So just a quick rundown on why I decided to start over. This is going to sound so cringy, but I felt like a burning desire to get more freedom in my life. And I did have a very freeing life anyway in the UK that I'd built myself, but I just knew there was more to life than that. And I was in a position to act on that. So yeah, I decided to sell my property in the UK, sell my business in the UK, sell everything that I wasn't taking with me in the UK, and of course, my savings from wages. Here's the next chapter and where I'm at. The time covering the travel was for January 2026 right through to the end of April 2026 this year. That's all flights and accommodation paid for. The only thing that I've not accounted for in the spends is obviously the food and any things that I want to do in the next 2 or 3 months, which I don't think will cost me too much because I'm very conscious when it comes to eating. I'm not really a like, oh my gosh, let's try everything kind of eater. I'm not limiting myself, but I'm now making more sensible choices because I've spent obviously quite a large amount over 2025 doing all the places I wanted to go to. But what I did weigh up briefly was the cost of living on average in the UK and the costs that I spent per month travelling. And I was only around £1,000 a month more. So when I look at it like that, that really just makes me feel better about the money I've spent, because I just think, well, at least I've lived life like totally free and just gone wherever I wanted to go in the world for the last year. Like, yeah, big numbers, but I'm definitely proud that I've done it and I've learned so much from doing it. So if I could choose whether to put my bank balance up to where it started or to where it is now, I would still choose where it is now. Okay, I'm just going to tell you now what I've spent, because saving it till the end I'll end up slipping up somewhere along the way. So the total cost of my 16-month travel plans, 12 done, 13 done, 3 more to go, is, you might want to sit down as well, £100,000. Oh, that hurts saying it out loud. But 20,000 of that has gone on business expenditures, and one of them was a regretful decision, but it is what it is. But the rest of that 20k went to productive things to set me up for my next chapter. So minus the 20k, I've technically spent 80k traveling the world, covering me up to January to April. So yes, it's probably higher than most people would expect, but I've not done it on a budget. I've not stayed in hostels. I've not done backpacking life. I've just gone on really nice luxury trips, stayed in a comfy bed, done whatever I want to do. And yeah, that was the way I wanted to travel. I didn't want to do it on a budget. And my rule for traveling is I will never pay to stay in a worse bed than I'm leaving at home. because that logic just does not make sense to me. So a lot of people would be like, well, you're not really in the hotel room. Why are you going to pay so much to stay in there? Well, for me, sleep is number one importance. And two, you've got to pay anyway. So why pay and get an uncomfortable night's sleep or disruptive night's sleep than pay and get a comfortable night's sleep that little bit more? That's just my rule for when I travel. It just makes logical sense to me. And I love sleep and I love a comfy bed. So that was what I would always judge as well. If you look on pictures of hotels or accommodations, Airbnbs and stuff, normally if they have 4 pillars on the bed, you're guaranteed comfort, because they've gone to that effort of putting 4 on the bed, not just 2. And I don't know about anyone else, but I like to have a pillow under my head and a pillow between my knees. So I would be taking up 2 pillows, and if someone else is in the bed, what are you sleeping with? Back to the money side of things for what I've spent over the last year and a bit. When I think of the places that I've visited, like I've done a month in Thailand, I've been to Maldives, I've been to Mauritius, I've flown business class with Emirates and Etihad, I've been to Abu Dhabi, I stayed in Dubai for a month, I've done maybe 3 months in total in Bali, I've done Philippines, Kuala Lumpur. That one I stayed in the nicest hotel in the world. Like, not literally, but for me it was unbelievable. So that was a bit costly. But I've been to all these places and I've done some luxury things along the way. So I don't think it's a crazy number for a year traveling. But I did come from quite a high salary, a comfortable life. I was doing 6 holidays a year. So I guess I had a different perspective on what I think is high cost and low cost to some other people. And I do wish that I'd sort of reset my thinking before going traveling with that money in my bank, to be like, right, let's actually use this smart. Don't blow it. And I don't think I did blow it, but there's definitely things that I regret spending money on. That's just life. One thing that I did do, which I want to point out, is when I got the equity from selling my property, plus the business sale, plus my savings, the total number that I had wasn't what I went traveling with. I actually decided to put 66,000 into another property. So I didn't want to just have that sum of money in my bank and be like, right, let's go. The world is my oyster, literally. The sensible decision for me was to secure an off-plan property. I got a really good price on it as well. I think I got 15,000 off the asking price, and they are currently predicted to resell for an extra £50,000. So my decision around that was to help my money grow, but not have access to all of it in one go. And no bank is going to match that level of return, let's be honest. So yes, it's risky to park 66 grand not accessible, but I just thought if I'm wanting to create this next chapter and I'm wanting to elevate my life again, I need to do something where it's going to make me money, because I'm going to be spending money. So that was my logic in invest in the property, just park it. It doesn't complete until next year. So we've got just under another year left for that to complete, and then I'll flip it and get my equity out. So yeah, that was my choice that I made, even though I was a bit reckless with travel spending. I still made one smart decision. So balance. I also did my travel planning. Having the money stability allowed me to do more stress-free travels. So I was able to go for convenience over what was the only way, for example. So I would get flights to a lot of places rather than get boats or trains and buses and all the other transports that's cheaper. I would choose a flight because I just want to get there quick. I don't want to spend a whole day traveling. And if I've got the money to just double the amount of what it was going to cost for a train or a bus, or 17 hours out of my day, I will just get a flight. So there were times where I did weigh up things like, would it be nice to do a train and do the scenic route? And then when I look at the duration of the train and the times that they are, and the time you would miss out of a day, I just thought, no, I'll just get an hour's flight, that's fine. So those were the kind of decisions where I would choose something convenient to just have an easier ride of travelling on my own. I also looked for things like multiple sites when I'm booking hotels. So if I see something on Airbnb, for example, or booking.com, I will check on Agoda and Trip as well, because Trip do hotels but also package deals for flight and hotel. So if I could work it as a package to make it cheaper, I would still do those kind of things, but it wouldn't stop me making decisions because I couldn't get it cheap enough. That was where I had no budget. I was just, it is what it is, that's what it costs, that's what I want to do. So yeah, there was perks with Agoda as well if you're looking to travel. Agoda, Agoda, is a really good website that gives really good cashback rewards. Some of the hotels I remember when I was booking them all through Agoda, they often had, they told you at the checkout what your cashback reward would be for this booking. And sometimes it was like £150, £260. And I'm like, that's such a good amount for a cash refund just for booking a bloody hotel. So definitely use Agoda if you're looking for accommodations or you're shopping around for places, because I got some really good cash reward deals on that. Also what I did that maybe not the usual, I don't really know. My travel plans weren't booked in advance. I didn't have any clue where I was going after Thailand. Thailand was the only place I'd booked and I was there for a month. After that, I was like, let's look on a map. So I actually booked the rest of my trips around direct flights and duration of the flights. So I would just look on a map and be like, oh, this is over here. Let me see if there's a flight there. And then some of the flights would come up and it's like £80. And I'm like, how can I get in the air for 4 hours and it's only £80? That's unheard of from the UK. You can't even get to Ireland for that, which is just across the water. So yeah, there were some really good deals that I happened to just come across with the flights. So for example, the flight that I took from Kuala Lumpur to Mauritius with Mauritius Airlines was a really good flight, and that only cost me £700 return with my luggage. So £350 to be in the air for nearly 8 hours going to Mauritius, like that alone I think is just a really good price for a flight. Like sometimes in the UK you'd pay £350 just to get to somewhere else in Europe, but I was going like on a big journey, like some of those prices just didn't make sense, but I was like, okay, let's book. That seems cheap, let's do it. So there was still sensible decisions I was making, I just didn't set myself a budget. So if I wanted to do something or I wanted to buy something, I just did it and I just bought it. I also think spending money on yourself is a form of self-care, and I've built that within myself, especially being self-employed in the position I was in. I was able to, and I was very firm on self-care is so important, and I guess that was a factor in my lack of budget. I mean, I still did the things that I wanted to do, and I still saw things and went to places and took part in activities and things like that. So I still got the travel experiences from it. Everyone has their own visions of what their decisions would be, and obviously in the moment you go with what your gut tells you, or you go with what you think is right at the time. So it is what it is. I do wish, however, that I'd skipped a few destinations. There were some places where I just think, I just wish weren't on the list, like Sri Lanka, Cambodia, maybe even Laos. I got water poisoning in Laos from literally 2 sips of a mango juice. 2 sips. It just tasted off, so I stopped after 2 sips and it still made me throw up. So imagine if I drank the whole thing. I'd have been in hospital. So that sort of put a bad spin on that. Cambodia, I just didn't really feel safe, and Sri Lanka, I definitely didn't feel safe. I'm going to do a video soon on the settling in at places and how things went for me, so stay tuned on that. But I have touched on the Sri Lanka situation in a previous video, so you can get the rundown of what that went like. I would not recommend it for any solo females, put it that way, based on my experience. So I guess the choices I made were aligned with me and what my values were and what matters to me in my life, which is freedom, seeing the world and just touching other soil that's out there. Not literally, but landing on other turf and learning about things, learn about culture, learn about myself, learn about other ways of life, learning how to adapt and handle things and challenges that come up. There's just no end of learning when traveling. I just wish I'd set myself a monthly budget. Just a little bit, like, you don't need to go over this much. Refined it to like 3K a month, for example. Then my money could have probably gone a bit further. And I probably would have been saying no firmer to the decisions that I wish I'd said no to now. So yeah, that's my experience of how I handled that sum of money. So yeah, 100K, 20K business venture stuff, 80K travel, 66K into an off-plan investment property that's projected to make 50K as well by next year. Yes, manifesting. Weirdly, I've actually had that figure in my head since I agreed the price with them and signed the contract. I told myself I want 250 for that when it's ready to be flipped. And it's now 240 to 260. So for the one that I've picked, in the tower that I've picked, because it has a spa in the tower and it's the last one to be built. So based on the hype and the marketing and the fact that it's the one with the spa in, that should hopefully get the premium price for it. Honestly, when I saw it, I thought I could live in that for a bit. That's a perfect one bed in Liverpool. So yeah, they were my decisions, they were my choices. But how would you do this? If you had this scenario presented to you, how would you budget? How would you spend? What sort of mindset would you go into it with? I'd be curious to see what you'd all do differently, or if anyone would do it the same, or yeah, let me know in the comments. Obviously, I'm not trying to open this for hate or opinions or negativity. Like, we're all human, nobody's got it perfect. This is just to share perspectives and any lessons or experiences or tips. Like, yeah, this is a more community-based channel we're trying to build here. So I'm open to sharing and I'm open to receiving comments, feedback. My final few words would be, make sure that you remember to live. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but don't just exist. Don't just plod along. Like, if there's things you want to do and you've got your own way of what you see as living, then please prioritize that, because we literally could be gone tomorrow. And yeah, just get out of life what you can whilst you're able to. But from my journey that I'm sharing with you today, I've definitely spent intentionally with a few errors. I've invested wisely, I would say. I've learned a hell of a lot. So much, I don't even know how I could even put it all into simple words. And I felt free, which was my aim. My aim was freedom. My plan after April is to go to a wedding of my friends in Italy and then head to Bali for a couple of months and just be back in my little home from home. So if you're in like a period of your life where you feel like change is ready or a fresh start, hopefully you can take some lessons from my story, make it your own, and yeah, just go for it. But if you like this kind of content where we just dive in deep and talk real life scenarios and situations, then hit the subscribe button, drop me a like on this video if you like this video, and again, I'll hopefully see you in the comments and speak to you soon.